Do you want, oh my, what? So Nước Mắm in Vietnamese means, wait, what? Oh my, this is gonna be a long day. Hi, my name is Rachel, and today we're gonna be making Nước Mắm chicken wings, or fish sauce chicken wings. So there are 4 different components of this chicken wing dish. You have the chicken wings itself sitting in a marinade, then you have the sauce, the breading, and then the garnish. It's a pretty simple dish depending on how comfortable you are with frying. I know frying can be a little bit intimidating for some people and it can be quite a painstaking process, but hopefully I'll have some tips that'll help you out when you recreate this at home. So this is around 2 pounds of chicken wings and drumettes that I marinated with around a 1/4 cup of fish sauce and a whole bulb of garlic chopped up. I mean, if you're a garlic lover, you can go more. If you don't really like garlic for some reason, you can do less or not even do it. And I just poked it with a knife a few times to make sure that the marinade seeps through. I would definitely leave it in the fridge for at least an hour, but if you can do it overnight, that would be phenomenal. So I'm gonna set this on the side and we're gonna work on the sauce. So Nước Mắm in Vietnamese means fish sauce, and this is Nước Mắm. It's a brown liquid that is from fermenting fish, sometimes crabs or anchovies, and this is the brand that I was raised to use by all my Vietnamese friends' mothers who would teach me their recipes and feed me all the time after school. I've never had a reason to buy any other brand, frankly, because it's the cheapest and also the best. And then this is Nước Chấm. So Nước Chấm is the dressing that you'll find on the side of rice bowls and noodle bowls. It's a mix of Nước Mắm, fish sauce, sugar, lime juice, sometimes chilies and ginger, and then water. So I pretty much always have this in my fridge because it's really great to flavor up salads or like even pasta sometimes, or just a good dipping sauce for dumplings. So this is always in my fridge. So for the sauce, we have fish sauce, lime juice, sugar, and water. So the fish sauce is the salty component, the lime juice is the sour, and the sugar is the sweet. The water is there to dilute down the fish sauce because it can get a little bit intense with your flavor. We're just gonna mix it up and keep stirring at the beginning to dissolve the sugar and then let it reduce down until maybe halfway, until it gets a little bit thick and sticky. It's gonna take a minute, like maybe 10 minutes, so put on a good podcast, play some music. So I really like sour things, so I put a decent amount of lime juice, but I would say adjust the sauce to your preference. If you're not a huge fan of sour, you can reduce the lime juice. If you like things sweeter, add in more sugar. You can really tailor it to your preference, and I think this is a really good way to understand new flavors when cooking. You can follow recipes, and that's great. They'll tell you what to do, but when you're able to listen to your own palate and tailor it to your liking, that's a really good skill to have in the kitchen. So now that the sugar is dissolved and it's coming up to a simmer, I'm just gonna reduce it down to medium-low because things with sugar tend to burn really quick once it gets to the caramelization point. So we're just gonna watch this like a hawk until it's all good. We're gonna multitask a little bit here, which could be semi-dangerous, but we'll see. So we're gonna do the garnish. So for the garnish, we have lime zest, mint, cilantro, as well as Thai red chilies. Now I like to keep my chilies in the freezer just because the package always has so much of them and I'm never able to finish them, or my mom or my dad or my sister. So I like to keep it in the freezer, and then whenever I want to use it, I just pick it out and it works great. So I like the red ones. You could use the green ones. They have a similar flavor, but I like using red. Last time I nearly killed my parents with the spice, so I think I'm gonna... If you don't like spicy, you can skip the chilies, but I like them a little bit for flavor and heat. Chilies in the bowl. And then we're gonna add in our cilantro. Now I'm self-conscious. Cilantro.
Where do you learn that?
And then for our mint leaves, because they're a little bit bigger, I like to tear them up. And I like to tear them instead of chopping them because chopping them tends to bruise them a little bit too much. And I kind of like the whole pieces. Lastly, we're gonna do some lime zest. If you want to be eco-friendly, you can zest the limes and then juice it, but I had to juice them first, so okay. I think one is good. Hi, Mom. Oh, because when you were dog walking, I get really shocked. One day this is gonna be a piece of cake, but today is not that day. We're gonna set this aside until we're done frying. So let's check on our sauce. So it's reduced a good amount. I'm gonna let it go for a couple more minutes. You can tell the sauce is done because when you put it on your spatula or your spoon and you drag your finger across, the line in between stays. So that's when you know it's done. I'm just gonna leave this in the saucepan until we're ready to serve because I'm gonna heat it up super quickly. You can also do this in the microwave because when it cools down, it tends to get a little bit thick. So we want it to be loose enough so that it coats the wings. Let's move on to the breading. So when it comes to frying, I can speak from past experience that it can be a pain in the butt. The coating falls off, it gets too soggy, it gets too oily, it doesn't stay crispy, and it's so frustrating when you just want a really good crispy chicken wing and that doesn't happen. So I've taken some tips from Japanese karage that uses some good techniques to ensure a really crispy exterior. So today we have tapioca flour, rice flour, and baking powder. And instead of tapioca flour, you could also use potato starch. It works as the same thing. All three of these starches have a really high starch content and low gluten content. And what that means is because it has a low gluten content, you won't get it being sticky or gloopy as it's sitting or when it's about to fry. And with wheat flour, because it has a high gluten content, you have that. It absorbs less oil, so it stays crispy. The tapioca and potato flour give it substance to the crunch, and the rice flour is really thin, so it coats the chicken wing and makes it super, super crispy. So the baking powder will help drop moisture to the surface while frying and evaporate. So why this is important is because whenever you're frying something, if you want it to be crispy, the less moisture, the better, because if you didn't know, oil and water when they're hot are not friends. That's how a grease fire happens, right? I think so. I think that's how it happens, but that's not gonna happen today. Now I'm not seasoning this with any salt because the fish sauce and the marinade and the sauce already have so much salt. If I wasn't using fish sauce so heavily, I would, but just keep that in mind. Okay, I think we're ready to fry. We have our chicken that's been marinating. We have the coating. This is called a spider. It just helps to fish out the chicken. I like to have a thermometer when I'm frying just to manage the temperature, but if you don't, it's fine. And then I like to have tongs, I like these skinny ones, as well as a baking tray lined with parchment paper and then paper towels on top and a wire rack, and this will help to drain the oil once it's done frying. So let's go outside. Okay, I got on my towel because frying is always a mess. So apron to protect your clothing, towel to wipe your hands. You should probably only get one hand dirty, but you're inevitably gonna get both dirty because you're gonna forget halfway and then use your wet hand with your dry hand. It's fine. So towel will help you protect. Our neighbors are doing construction on the roof. What good timing. So I'm bringing up to heat canola oil. You can also use vegetable oil or peanut oil, anything with a high smoking point. You don't want to be frying, let alone deep frying with something like olive oil because it's just going to burn really, really fast. We're going to do two different fries. So the first fry is just to make sure that the chicken is cooked all the way through. And the second fry is going to be at a higher temperature to make it super, super crispy and get it nice and brown on the outside. So I'm still waiting for it to get up to temp. It's almost there, but we want to get it to around 320 to 330. If you don't have a thermometer, you can use a wooden chopstick. I would just keep the heat at a constant medium high for the first batch. When you put it in the chopstick, you should see tiny little bubbles that come to the surface. So we're gonna put our wings in, and then we're just gonna coat it with the flour. And then using the spider, I just like to dust off any extra coating. So the temp is gonna drop. Right now it's at 360, but once we put the chicken in, it's gonna drop pretty fast. Now this is why I like to use a tong, because just while it's frying, I like to move it around. The wings are gonna get fried for around 15 minutes, 10 to 15, and then the drumettes, because they're a little bit bigger, probably closer to 15 to 17 minutes. I think that's cooked. Oh yeah, that's cooked. We have no pink. It's okay. I know you guys do this too. I do it. I'm just a home cook. I'm not a professional. So it's cooked through. So when the oil gets up to temp, we're gonna toss it again in our breading and then fry it for like 30 seconds. Oh yeah, look at that. No pink. Look at that, guys. No salmonella today. So they're nice and brown and crispy. Okay, oil is on. Let's move inside and mash up. How do they do that on TikTok? They do that thing, right? Okay, so I'm a wing person. I'm not a fan of drumsticks or drumettes. I just think the wing is superior. It just came off the bone. I'm actually so proud it's fully cooked. I was so scared that was gonna happen. It's really good. The sauce is a really great balance of sweet, salty, and sour. And then there's just enough chili to give it some heat, but not overpowering that you feel like you're gonna die, which is what I normally do, but I decided to be easy today. The herbs are so refreshing. It just reminds me of pretty much every single Vietnamese dish because you always have a big pile of herbs on the side.
Top it.
Yeah, this is a great thing to make for like parties or if you just want fried chicken but want to do something different than what you normally do. It's so moist and flavorful because of the fish sauce. And it's still crispy. It didn't get soggy from frying. So even though the sauce is on it. So there you have it. Nước Mắm chicken wings, slightly untraditional, but still amazing. If you want the measurements, the full recipe will be in the description. Clean bones only. This is the only way to eat chicken wings.
Good?
Good. Okay, eat up.
Good.